myself Saujanya and you're watching Girl with the Broken Race. Today's video is about Are You Real? And I'm not talking about simulation theory. I'm talking about how with the immense power of computing, some of us can create simulation around others of us. The lineup for today's episode is as follows. We are starting off with a cruel but necessary experiment which will elaborate on what your perception really means and what if it's not there. After that, we'll see how your brain processes the input data and how much you should rely on it because you always get biased input into your system. Then we'll see how computers and tech in today's world have confined you in these biases, and we'll end the video on the note of how this will make you liberal slave and what you should do about it. So, let's get started. Famous serial killer Hannibal Lecter kidnaps you. That was 1991 and this is 2020. So basically, he has advanced techniques of killing people and you are in his trap. Now please bear with me for the next couple of minutes because they are going to be hard on you. As a psychologist before psychopath, he was intrigued by what if he removes all sensory organs from his victim body and how he will still function. And yes, experiment on you begins. He firstly put red hot blistering iron rod in your eyes. Then he cut down your ears. Time for a tongue which is chopped by a knife. Your nose is also cut down by the same knife, but you can breathe from your mouth. Then comes your skin, and he peels off your skin as if it is potato before french fries. Your nerves can still transmit the signals to your brain and you're feeling that terrible pain, but you're not dead yet. Congratulations. Now, let me ask you a question. Your perception helps you to make your identity around the world. But now, what are you going to do without it? Think about it and feel free to drop down your comments below. So, let's get into the next part. What do your sensory organs do? Your sensory organ collects 11 million bits per second and sends it to your brain. Brain's capacity for data processing is only about 50 bits per second, which means there is a lot of compression of your input data before brain processes it, even more than this guy. It's like the brain is super efficient in making decisions based on experiences, evolutionary data, and specs of probabilities. If you divide human actions into two parts as voluntary and involuntary and considering your perception as a variable, we can write equation for you. Self-value is equals to involuntary actions plus voluntary actions and your voluntary actions is equals to your will into your actions into your perception. Let's talk more about your will or free will. But is it really free? Well, let's ride on the time machine to find the answer. When you were a child, your brain was most active in its learning phase. It kind of tries to take all information in because it believes that the fittest survives. This input information builds the basis of your abstractions about life. Let me elaborate. When you were a kid, you had a primary layer of abstraction as you need food, you need care, and your whole life is dependent on only those parameters. You did not care about money, politics. Your mom and dad were centers of your universe. Then, because of other existing sapiens, you face trouble in your life and it adds another layers of complexity, anger, jealousy, etc. As a teen, your first time encounter with what is love and what is sex, and that adds another layer of abstractions. And in all this complexity, we forget the most basic layer that you are part of something bigger than yourself.
We have come to define significance as I'm special and everything else isn't. Religions thinking they're special, cultures thinking they're special, individuals thinking they're special. The top 4 ingredients in life, in your body, top 4 atoms in order: hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen. Those 4 atoms. Do you know what the top ingredients are in the universe? The top 4 chemically active atoms in the universe? Hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen.
I am the universe.
Yes! So upon learning that you're not special because you do not contain special ingredients, is the same fact that includes the idea that while we live in this universe, the universe lives within us. We are special because we're the same.
We trap ourselves in this bubble of self-importance and self-diligence and live every day of only 30,000 we have. Think about it. How many relationships and people you sabotage on these abstraction stupidity and biases? Now, what is the connection of this with Are You Real? Look at the technology today. Every minute you're spending on this amazing thing called internet, these algorithms know how to get inside of your brain, follow these abstractions and biases. Not only that, they know how to change it. And you know what happens when your abstraction is changed by algorithms? Things like Brexit happens, one of the most powerful events in the last decade. The backbone of our economy is technology. And I'm not saying it's evil. I'm just asking, are you prepared enough to ask yourself the question to know the difference between your real thoughts and some seed sown by society? You know, our school taught us how to calculate the area under the curve, but they forget to tell us about the life curve. They just assume that it's a continuous function and forget about the limits where this curve might break. We sapiens remember ourselves for fighting battles for liberty, human rights, gender equality. But is our DNA evolved enough to stand against our own beliefs and verify it with no filters? I guess not, because beliefs are a lazy way of your brain telling you, I know this, and it's hard to question it every time. But it is the question of, are you willing to? Moore's law predicts that we'll have computers strong enough to understand the human brain in the next decade. So, we have limitations here. It means it's a matter of decade before algorithm created by humanity will create simulations of thoughts around you. So I don't know about super sapiens simulation. If you do not understand yourself, you will be in the simulation created by those who understand. And that will be liberal slavery. If you do not prepare yourself for this, you're gonna be a mess. And then you're gonna be feeling the world is not fair to me. Let me ask you a question. Who said the world was ever fair? Now, it's your decision whether you want to belong on the fair side or not. So, what are you waiting for? Ask yourself great questions, because questions have immense power. It has uncertainty, ability to change and adapt. It gives you a chance to fall on your face and rise up higher. Humanity never denied asking questions, and nor did science, because humanity is the highest kind of science. I will recommend 21 Lesson for 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari if you are further interested in this topic. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some funky curious stuff.